Hello, curious adventurers. I'm your host, and you're listening to HootPODS, the show that dives into the biggest, wildest stories in history to find out what we can learn about being smart, thoughtful humans. Today we're talking about a man who saved the world, not by launching a rocket, but by not launching one. His name was Stanislav Petrov, and his story is a huge lesson in staying calm when everything around you is screaming to panic. Imagine this. You're at school, right? And you're taking a super important test. It's quiet, you're focused, and then suddenly the fire alarm goes off. Not just a little ding, but a loud, blaring, scary sound that tells you, danger, get out now. Every rule you've ever learned says you have to drop your pencil and run. Your heart is pounding. You feel like you should run. That's how Stanislav Petrov felt on the night of September 26, 1983. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Soviet Union's military, sitting in a top-secret bunker near Moscow. His job was to watch a new satellite system called Oko, that's Russian for eye, which was designed to warn his country if another country, like the United States, launched a nuclear missile attack. Then the alarm screamed. The main screen flashed the word, launch. The computer, the new, expensive, fancy computer, was saying an American missile was flying straight at them. Then it said 4 more were coming. Every protocol, every rule, every part of his training demanded he call his bosses immediately. If he did, the Soviet Union would almost certainly launch its own nuclear missiles back, starting a war that could have killed billions of people. This wasn't just a fire alarm, it was the alarm for the end of the world. But Stanislav Petrov didn't run. He paused. He didn't let the alarm become a disaster. His story teaches us 3 powerful lessons about why we need to be thinking machines, not just feeling ones. Lesson 1. Don't let fear silence your logic. The worst kind of panic comes when a terrible feeling, a feeling of dread, forces you to act before you think. Stanislav Petrov's first step in saving the world was to conquer the panic in his own heart. The system was showing 5 missiles. 5! His gut reaction was terror, but his training as an engineer and his knowledge of strategy kicked in. Petrov knew that if the United States was going to launch a first strike, they wouldn't send just 5 missiles. They would send hundreds, a massive, huge attack to make sure their enemy couldn't fight back. 5 missiles were, to his mind, strategically illogical. It didn't make sense. When you're facing a problem, for example, maybe a friend said something mean and you want to snap back right away, stop and ask, does this make sense? If someone is genuinely trying to hurt you, they usually won't start with a tiny insult. Petrov used logic to spot the inconsistency. The feeling said, attack, but the fact, the small number of missiles, said, wait, this is a lie. Lesson 2. Trust your inner skepticism, especially about new technology. Stanislav Petrov was an engineer. He helped build and understand the Oko system, and because of that, he knew something military commanders sometimes forget. Machines can be wrong. He knew the system was new and had glitches or bugs that hadn't been fixed yet. The strongest counter-argument people often use for these big automated systems is that technology is better than humans. They say, the computer is faster. The computer doesn't get scared. The computer is always right. That, my friends, is a dangerous idea. It's called over-trusting the automation. Petrov didn't buy it. He chose to believe in the possibility of a system error over the certainty of a global war. The true cause of the alarm was a design flaw. Sunlight, hitting high-altitude clouds at a rare angle, perfectly tricked the satellites into thinking they were seeing the heat of rocket engines. The machine confused the sun's reflection with an enemy missile. Petrov's engineering brain made him look for a second opinion. He knew that for an attack to be real, the missile warning from space had to be confirmed by ground-based radar, a completely different system. After several minutes that must have felt like a lifetime, the ground radar remained silent. No corroboration, no second receipt. Because he was skeptical and knew the technology's limits, he had the courage to tell his superiors it was a false alarm. He refused to be a button pusher. Lesson 3. The power of the pause. Petrov's most world-changing move wasn't an action. It was an inaction. It was a delay. He made a conscious choice to slow down the process and create the time needed for calm, rational thought, what scientists call System 2 thinking. This is why staying calm in a high-stress environment is so important. When your heart is pounding, your body is screaming at you to react fast. But that's when you have to take the crucial step that Petrov took. The pause. Do you ever feel yourself getting really angry? What happens if you take a deep breath before you speak? Did it feel hard? Did it create a little space? That space, that breath, is what lets you reappraise the situation. It lets you reinterpret the crisis. Petrov took the signal of 5 missiles coming and reframed it into, "This is strategically impossible. It must be a bug." He chose to apply logic to override his emotions. Sadly, Stanislav Petrov was not celebrated for his bravery right away. He was actually reprimanded or criticized by his bosses, not for saving the world, but for not filling out his logbook paperwork correctly. That's how much institutions sometimes care about following rigid rules, even if breaking the rule saves every life on Earth. But we know the truth. His act of restraint was the ultimate heroism. Stanislav Petrov's legacy is simple. Don't let urgency override common sense. As you grow up and face big decisions, remember his story. The most important choice you will ever make is to reserve the right to doubt the loudest alarm. When technology, or a huge wave of group pressure, is telling you to hurry, to panic, to follow the crowd, the true measure of your strength will be your ability to hit the pause button. To stop, take a breath, apply your knowledge, check the facts, and trust your smart, skeptical brain over your beating, terrified heart. You are not a robot. You are a human being with the ability to think critically. That ability to reason, to empathize, to understand the consequences of your actions, that's what no computer, no matter how fast, can ever replace. We need heroes who are wise, not just fast. We need you to be the Petrov of your own life, calm, logical, and always ready to question the alarm. Go out there and think critically. Until next time, this is your owl host with the most at HootPODS.com.